It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday, my dudes.
What is up? It is Wednesday, my dudes. We are here again, live, and we're a second half team, baby, right? July 1st. COVID doesn't know what it has coming for us.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best I got. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know, man. You can take a bet on my bookie how wrong I'm going to be with the code 12OZ Sports and say Dom is definitely wrong and you'll win a lot of money. So just forget I even tried. Just forget I even tried. So we're here again on a Wednesday with Randall and Caleb. And of course, use our my bookie code. We got Jazz Sports as well, 12OZ Sports, as we have sports coming back this month, Bo. As we have
Yup.
NBA, NHL, MLB. We have, I think, MLS tournament starting up. I believe the Women's League started recently, and WNBA started. NASCAR's racing, and golf is being played. So take your pick. We're back. Ish. Maybe not the exact same, but we're back. So, yeah, we got a lot going on. A lot of money you can win. People are probably just... I know people were already gambling on ridiculous things already, so now's the time to get in while they're desperate. So win yourself some money. And thanks for tuning in, whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, or Zingo TV, which is free to use. So look at us. Doing great, right?
Notice me, senpai.
Everything's fine. It's
Notice
all
me.
fine.
Everything is fine.
Notice me, senpai.
So we are continuing our series of the top 10 in 10, and we are staying in the NFL and doing wide receivers. So the top 10 wide receivers in 2030, which this was 10 times harder than quarterback.
Oh yeah. And I feel like we need to put a caveat on the entire thing with saying, it's kind of insane to assume. None of us have many people that are, or I don't think anyone of us have anyone on our list that's going to be 27 at the time. We don't have 17-year-olds or anything like that on there.
I left specifically anybody that has not played a college football down.
Right.
I didn't include any high school people. So that's just kind of my disclaimer there.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be somebody that comes out that's incredible.
Yeah, for us to sit here and say that.
I don't know them, so I simplified my list.
Yeah, for us to sit here and say that there's not going to be a 27-year-old that's one of the better players. Obviously, there probably will be.
Yeah.
But we don't know them right now. We don't even know what they're capable of at this point. So,
yeah. I'm not the high school genius or on recruits, and
I am,
and Randall is, so I guess he could have maybe taken a shot,
kidding.
But
Yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable at all.
Recruit, Randall.
What?
Name every recruit, you expert.
Every
Vince
recruit has
Young.
lived. But yeah, it's just, unless you really deep dive, and even then, you think about it, after a couple of years in college, there's that 3-star guy that just jumps out that made a big leap on whatever it was. So, unless you've studied all the way through all the recruiting classes, it's, definitely even more of a long shot. So, might as well control what you have seen a little more. Whether it's current current NFL, maybe just recently drafted, or will be drafted in the next year or two. So, that's where I know we all seem to go there. So, definitely an interesting list. And to mix it up, we'll still stay with our kind of snake order, but Randall, you'll get the honors of going first this time.
Yep.
Since you're in last
alright.
place in the poll.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
that really?
Let's talk about
Yep.
that poll.
Oh yeah, well, before we start, let me get that.
I thought I
poll.
came in second.
No, you came in dead last, man.
Dead
by
last.
a
Punch you in the
large
face.
margin.
Let's see. The final was Caleb 43%. I had 38,
Woo!
and Randall had 19.
Must have had a lot of Sam Darnold fans.
I was, for
Wow.
not including Lamar, that was surprising to me.
I gave
Caleb
my
got his
reason.
entire
I literally
office
gave my
vote.
reason.
I guess they listened to your reason then.
Yeah.
Guess people just don't like North Carolina. That's what it is. But anyways, all right, whatever. I will start off my list at number 10. I have DK Metcalf, who is currently 23. He will be 33. This is one that I feel like I could be completely wrong on, just because at age 33, his speed's probably not going to be there like it is now. I think he'll still have the ridiculous body that he has. I mean, the dude takes care of himself quite a bit. If you've ever seen that picture, I'm sure everyone has. Dude is massive. But I don't know. I think even without his top end speed maybe being there at 33, he's still going to have that really, really good red zone ability. He's already one of the better red zone players in the league at this point. I think he'll continue to improve his route running. He'll kind of learn how to utilize that athleticism and the size and pair it with that, route running to make him a better player, a more complete player, I think. And also having Russell Wilson early on in his career helps things a lot, obviously. And he's got a really good coach. I'm not a fan of Pete Carroll, but he is a great coach. And I don't know. I think Metcalf is in a really good area to continue to grow. It's just how much does he rely on his athleticism, I guess, and how much will that still be there at 33? But I could see DK Metcalf either like not in the league or just not near as good, or I could see him really quite a bit higher up on this list. So that's why I kind of left him at 10. I think when he's like 26, 27, he's going to be an absolute monster. I think he's going to be so good. But I don't know. 33, I'll keep him at 10 just because I don't know.
Interesting. Well, I have him on my list, but later on at a different point. So I will talk more on him later. My number 10, I will just straight up say this is a complete bias pick. He'll be 29. He was a true freshman this past year from the University of Michigan. Giles Jackson. Don't know if you had seen anything about him, but he is the true just do-it-all receiver. He is short, so that was kind of the thing. He is a speed guy, but he was used so creatively in the offense as a true freshman that it's only going to be used more, and that's what you want in NFL. All you can do weapons. He can line up in the backfield and take handoffs. I mean, he did play running back some in high school, so he has the ability. I feel like maybe that kind of Tyreek Hill-esque type skills. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark and use extreme bias to put Giles Jackson at number 10. He'll be 29.
Okay. Coming in at number 10 for me, this is one of my favorite players I've watched in a while at the receiver position. I've got Rondale Moore, and I know me and Randall were talking about him earlier, and that he just doesn't think he's got the size to be a top 10 guy, especially 10 years down the road. But I don't know. I mean, I remember turning on the OSU game in 2018 where he was just going off. He had like 12 receptions, 170 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he was very productive there. He finished that season with 103 receptions, 1,164 yards, 12 touchdowns with 203 rushing yards on the ground, as well as a rushing touchdown. He'd be 30 years old and 10 years from now. He's electric with the ball in his hand. Yeah, he has that injury concern considering he sat out most of the year last year, but I think he returns to form this following year, and I see him being electric. I think he's going to fall to a good situation, probably with a quarterback, and be a playmaker for years to come. And then diving into my number 9, just to keep it going, But I've got Juju Smith-Schuster sitting here. I like Juju. I think he does everything right on and off the field. And you know he had a down year last year, but a lot of that can be attributed to Ben not really playing the entire year. He lost AB, so he became the number one there. I think he kind of finds himself again in 2020. And I think moving forward, especially since he's only going to be, I think, like 33 years old, 10 years down the line, I think he'll be a successful wide receiver for years to come. And I think he'll be dominant by the time he's around his 30s.
I was say he's really interesting, yeah, because he was his first year he was 20, right? Like I want to say that.
Yeah.
He came in really young, so yeah, he has a lot of time to really produce all the stats there. Yeah, he was on my honorable mention.
Yeah. So going back to Rondale Moore too, I'm scared that when he goes to the NFL, he's going to be put in that gadget player position.
Kind of like Tavon Austin was.
I think he could be better than that.
Yeah, I mean I do too. That's why he's on my list. But yeah,
I'm trying to think of like an appropriate comparison. I feel like Sproles with New Orleans is a good comparison because he's a running back, but we really didn't run him that like much at all. Like I'm scared that he'll get in a position like that, which don't get me wrong, you can be utilized really well like that, and you can be a very good player, but I just don't know if you can blossom to a top 10 wide receiver in a position like that. But if someone gets him that doesn't use him like that, then by all means, yeah, I think he's definitely got the skill set to do it.
Yeah, it really kind of depends on where he goes. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, with
everybody, I mean,
that's something that
half these players might not even know where they're going to be, or they might not even be on the same team.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so hard to do because with quarterbacks, it's easier.
Right.
You have a good quarterback; they don't leave your team typically. Save like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady there, and numerous past free agents, but still.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Going in at my number 9, I'm going with a rookie for this year. He'll be 31, and I have CeeDee Lamb. I know we were kind of talking on the speed guys are real hard to judge. How long, since they're going to rely on that, not their size and route running. But I see enough electric plays out of him, seasons out of him. I think it might be kind of on the backswing, but I think he can still crack the top 10, so that's why I got him at number 9.
My number 9 is also somebody that came out in this class. I have T. Higgins at number 9. Currently 21, will be 31. Big body receiver that I think, he'll be a great end zone target for Joe Burrows for a really long time. I'm not sure if he's going to be like an AJ Green at his peak. Like people were, for some reason, multiple NFL like .com I know had compared him to AJ Green. That was his. But I don't know if he's got that potential necessarily of an AJ Green at his peak. But I think he will be a really good player that I feel like he does not necessarily have a highest ceiling as someone like DK Metcalf that I have at number 10, but I think his floor is one of the better floors of the receivers coming out of this draft. Because I think no matter what you get out of this guy, you're going to get a good end zone player. You're going to get someone who I feel like is going to be really reliable for Joe on third downs and when he needs a big play to be completed. And I like T. Higgins going forward. I don't know if he'll necessarily ever crack the top 10, but with us not knowing guys that are like 25, 26 in 10 years, he made the list of the top 10 for sure. I think he will be very good, though. I think he'll score a lot of touchdowns.
I think he's going to be for sure a long-term guy. That was where I was balancing him. Like, I think he can be one of those guys that lasts a long time, but where's the ceiling?
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely is that something that you felt with T too, was where he has one of the better higher floors out of all these receivers?
I was going to say, I mean, I was trying to think when you mentioned that, and I had one kind of more around the draft, and I'm going blank on a comp, not necessarily skills, but like career-wise, and I'm going blank, and this is not a good one, but kind of just popped in my head. Was like someone like I don't know Nate Burleson having consistent 700 to 900 yards, hits 1,000 every once in a while. Like
the only thing I'd be concerned about with T. Higgins though is, and this is worst case scenario where
that's why I'm more thinking floor.
Well, yeah, so I'm saying floor, but I guess really like this is if he were to bust through if the floor was in the attic and he busted through into the shower or something like that, is like if he did a I'm blanking, Kelvin Benjamin, and was like, okay, Kelvin, he came out of college, that being his thing. Oh, I can be a red zone target, I can be good in the end zone. And then that's all he ever really became, and then that hurt him and kept hurting him. And then, I mean, I don't think T. Higgins will do the thing that Kelvin did and get out of shape, but like just where that's kind of, he's a one-trick pony, so it really limits him, and he doesn't ever get to become a great player like he should be. But that would be absolute worst case scenario.
Yeah, I think worst case he's that long-term number 2 guy. Marvin Jones. How about that? That's a good comp, I think. Marvin Jones is a very good player for the Lions, but you're never going to put him in any top conversations. He's a solid number 2. He's someone you want on your team, but you're not going to overly talk about him.
I see the beginning of his career being kind of like maybe a little bit better, but kind of like Mike Williams in San Diego. Okay. Well, LA now. Chargers, where he's that big body dude. Mike's not necessarily like a red zone guy like that, even though he is a big body, but that's kind of how I could see it going.
Gotcha. Well, then you're number 8 as well.
Oh yeah, my bad. So my number 8 is an interesting one. I have DJ Moore at number 8.
He was on my honorable mention list.
Yeah, I just personally really like DJ Moore. He's 23. He will be 33. It's a little old, but DJ Moore. He had made that big jump this year. He's really good at medium and short routes. He is speedy, but he doesn't necessarily rely on that, I feel like. So, yeah, like obviously at 33, I feel like a lot of his speed, we say a lot of the speed, but it might not be that much really. But I feel like even without that speed, he can still do the things that he does now. I think they will eventually start using him even more in the slot, and I really think they should, because I think he can be phenomenal as almost a full-time slot receiver. I think he has the type of game, that can be good for a really long time. And yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it with DJ Moore. That was honestly more of like a personal pick. I really like DJ Moore's game, and I always pick him in fantasy. I picked him in fantasy 2 years in a row, and it finally paid off. So.
Gotcha. Well, nice. Well. Let's see, my number.
Speaking of fantasy, Red, did you see the clip? What was the Panthers show that they had? Anyway, but it's like
Spring Hill Panthers.
No. Well, DJ Moore was sitting there talking to Steve Smith.
Oh yeah.
Or Cam Newton was talking to Steve Smith. And he's like, "Should I start DJ Moore in fantasy?" It's like, I don't know, if he doesn't do well, I might have to.
I think that was the what's the comp? What is Amazon's comparable to?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter, but it's fun.
Also, I just realized we started this show without talking about Cam Newton.
Cam.
Well, we gotta talk about that.
Based on Cam, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll round it out with Cam.
Whoops. That's kind of big. Yeah. Anyways,
we'll finish it up with Cam.
Dom, you're 8? I think
my
you're
8, yes.
Yeah.
So this is the oldest player I have on my list. He'll be 34. Tom Brady, 50 whatever. The team is correct though. I have Chris Godwin. I think he took a big jump this past year, and he is going to continue to trend up. That was his first Pro Bowl. I really liked him coming out of Penn State, and I knew he wasn't going to be that immediate hit that first year, which. I mean, he had 34, 525, but only 1 touchdown first year, but then he jumped to 7 touchdowns. But anyways, I think he's going to keep kind of progressing up. He's going to be able to hold that kind of consistency long term. I think obviously this will be back end, so that's why I have him at 8. But I think he's going to be able to, if you look at it, 10 years, he's going to be a solid guy. You're like, yeah, I want him on my team. He's top 10 receiver for sure, locked in. I think he just has good skill set, well-rounded, that can last a long time.
Fair enough.
Number 8, and this might be somebody you guys might not even have on your list, but I've got Mecole Hardman.
Yes, I do.
Mecole Hardman, dude. I thought about
one
him.
reason, 10 years of Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. That was my reasoning. I'm like, first off, this guy is a playmaker. I know he played very limitedly last year. I think he suffered an injury, but he had 26 receptions, 538 yards, and 6 touchdowns. But 9 catches went over 20 plus yards, and 4 catches went over 40 plus yards. Yeah. So he gets yards. I mean, this dude is a playmaker, and not only that, but he's also excellent in the kick return as well. He probably won't be used so much at that age because he'll be 32. But I think he'll benefit greatly from playing with Mahomes for at least 10 years here. So I thought about even throwing him higher on my list. But this list, and one thing I'm just going to mention is there's so many guys that I just had to leave off that there's just too many playmakers, and it's just so hard to narrow it down. But moving on to number 7, this is a guy I really like. I mean, he found himself in a really bad situation, but he made the most of it. But I've got Terry McLaurin from the Redskins. So I've got him 58. You don't like him?
No, I just made like an audible noise, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Whoops.
Anyway, but 58 receptions, 919 yards, 7 TDs with a bad quarterback situation going on there. So Redskins are a terrible team, but he looked good on a bad team. He'd be, I think, 34 years old by the time that hits. So you could probably shuffle him down a little bit lower realistically. But I have him this high, assuming that Dwayne Haskins is not going to be terrible this following year, the following years after that. We're just going to be positive and hope that he's good. But yeah, Harry, right there, number 7.
None of us had him on our top 10 list, did we? Haskins?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, we did not have Haskins on the list.
I don't even think any of us mentioned him in like.
No, we did not.
I would need to see something else.
Yeah, that was too hard to tell.
Granted,
something else. Anything else.
Yeah, granted, bad situation to even be in.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's also part of it is when you start your career for Washington, that's just, it's putting you behind a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'll move on to my number 7. This is another true freshman. This is the other true freshman I have on my list here. It is Georgia's George Pickens.
I forgot about him.
He is a monster. He is. Let me get it pulled back up. I had him up earlier, but he is 6'3", 190 as a freshman, true freshman. He was the Sugar Bowl MVP. He had 49 receptions, 727 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Once again, as a true freshman, and since Prince Georgia in bowl games basically doesn't show up, he pretty much took over, and just Baylor had no answer for him. He is going to be an absolute monster, and he's going to he will have a quarterback with a better arm than Fromm, so probably we'll get some more deep threat opportunities. So I felt like I could put him higher, but as a true freshman, though, I put him here at number 7.
I completely forgot about him, and if I would have remembered him, he definitely would have been on my list.
He was. He was the true freshman that did stand out, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to put him on my list.
See, like I thought about it on the surface and couldn't think of any freshmen, so I was just like, meh, I just won't even look it up, because if there's none of them that I can remember, but no, I should have remembered him. He's so good. Man. Oh well. All right. Well, my number 7 was your number 8. I have Chris Godwin.
Okay.
Yeah, he will be 34, but it is what it is. So something while I was looking it up, I didn't know this. PFF, surprisingly to me, had him ranked as the 20th best player in the NFL last year.
Oh, okay.
That is really high.
Yeah.
I did not. I knew he was very good, but I didn't think of him. Now, granted, I don't always necessarily agree with all of PFF's statistics and how they compile those, but That's still really high, but he's the perfect complement in the slot to Mike Evans on the outside. You know, I really like that he's a good sized receiver in the slot instead of someone who's a small frame, short guy. Those more often than not they don't last long because they get destroyed over the middle. You know, he's super consistent, which is something Mike Evans has not necessarily been for the Bucks, which is a nice change of pace for them, I'm sure. Mike Evans will have those massive games, and then he'll go on stretches where he's just not there. And I also like the fact that Evans is young too still, so that they will be able to be a duo as long as they're willing to pay both for a long time. And I think that takes the pressure off of Godwin so he can continue putting up those big numbers, and it kind of gives him the space to grow a little bit too at the same time. I do really like Godwin, and I agree with the way you're thinking, Dom, is I think his game is perfect to still be a very viable guy that you absolutely want when he's 34.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was to say the Minnesota kid, they got Tyler Johnson, if I'm correct.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to be anything spectacular, but he's still someone that will be able to once again take some more pressure off those receivers, and he'll be a solid addition to the wide receiver core.
Well, let me say this, Dom. Thanks for that segue, because I have another Golden Gopher at number 6, Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, Bateman, okay.
Yep. He is 20 years old currently. He will be 30. He is, if you've watched his tape, if you got to see him at all, he's just so good after the catch making guys miss. He has a highlight also of pretty ridiculous catches. One in particular, I can't remember who he was playing. It was someone pretty early on in their season, but he makes like one of those like helmet type catches where it's basically like around somebody else's head. Those are always just absolutely sick. But he is going to be such a clear-cut number one next year in Minnesota too, with Tyler Johnson being gone, that I think he's going to put up huge numbers. And I actually have a prediction that he wins the Biletnikoff Award next year.
There you go.
Yeah, that one is a difficult one to
I could
say.
see that happening.
Yeah, because he should have ridiculous numbers with Tyler Johnson gone. He already did have really good numbers, so I'm pretty sure he won the conference best wide receiver last year, right? Did he not?
I believe
so.
I actually think so, yeah. Actually.
Fact check me on that while I continue. His numbers should be massive. He has good size at 6'2". He knows how to use it. He's not necessarily the fastest guy out there on the field, but that's not really what he relies on. He relies on body control and, putting himself in a position to make the catch. He's not going to be the number one wide receiver taken in the draft this year or next year. So I think he could drop somewhere where he has a really good stable quarterback situation. So with that, I really like him going forward. Did you just say the Jets? No. He's not going to be the number one wide receiver taken next year, Caleb. He's going to be a little bit further down in the draft. Not in the top 5.
Oh. And you were right, all Big Ten first team, and then
Yeah.
Big Ten receiver of the year. And he was on the finalist list, though.
There you go. That is my prediction, is he wins it next year. Unless Jake Smith wins it.
So that
Right,
was your
Caleb?
number 6, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was my 6.
That was your 6.
So-
So my number 6 is one of the Old Miss duos. I have A.J. Brown coming in here at number 6. And he'll be 33. For Tennessee in a run-heavy offense, and they didn't even use him right away with pretty much Mariota. It was really until Tannehill took over, because he only has technically 11 games started, but 52 receptions, 1,051 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He became just a force out there. I mean, I think both Old Miss guys, I thought they both should have been higher picked. I think everyone slept on them for sure. I think he has the skill set, almost in the kind of like Godwin sense, where he can kind of make that last a long time. So I definitely think he kind of has that skill set that will be solid long term. I guess the only kind of thing I was a little concerned on is quarterback for the Titans. I mean, will Tannehill be the long term? How long term do you have him? And who is next for AJ Brown to throw to? But I think when you're just a top receiver, I think you can just become a top receiver. And I mean, look at some of the guys like, I mean, nothing against Andy Dalton, but AJ Green was a solid guy. But you're not going to put Andy Dalton in top 5 quarterbacks of all time. So
Nope.
I think that's a solid place for him to land. So that is my number 6.
All right, so I'm gonna not spend a lot of time on my number 6 because you guys have already talked about him. But I've got Chris Godwin.
Okay, well, that's interesting that he's that made all 3.
I love him as a player. I honestly think he's going to even improve even more this following year by taking kind of that Julian Edelman type role for Tom Brady. He's improved every single year being in the league, and he was never been bad in the league. I know his rookie year he just didn't make a big splash there, but 2018 he barely missed the 1,000 mark, and then 2019. What was it, 86 receptions, 1,333 yards with 9 TDs, and he's also on a team with a quarterback that threw 30 interceptions. Yeah. So he's a great player. I see him being very productive even at 34 years old. And then my number 5, and Randall actually beat me to this, but I got Rashad Bateman as well.
Okay, interesting.
He's 30 years old. I'm not going to, again, touch base with him a lot just because I don't want to duplicate information, but one thing that I don't think that Randall mentioned was his Penn State game. Did anybody watch that? He had 7 catches for 203 yards and a touchdown. This dude's a monster. I mean, he's going to be a productive guy, and it's really going to rely on who's his quarterback, likely. But makes circus catches. He's great after the run. He's an excellent size, and I think he's going to be highly productive at 30 years old. I have him at number 5.
Yeah. I was going to say this next draft class this wide receiver draft class was considered great. I mean, it was, one of the best we've probably seen in a while. But next year's one, if you look at some of these names, like I have 6 guys on my, or 7 guys, sorry, I forgot about Tutu Atwell. Did not have him on my top 10, but I have 7 guys that are coming out of the draft class next year. I at least typed out just because that aren't on my list, just because I was like, that's, in 10 years he has, they've shown so much skill. So I have Bateman on my honorable mention. I just didn't really know where to put him in. So that's interesting. You guys both have him for sure. So I think he'll definitely be someone that will be for sure first round. Don't think, obviously, like Randall said, he'll be that top 5, 10 receiver, but definitely see him being that late teens, 20s draft pick for someone.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So my number 5, going back to, you had him earlier, I have Mecole Hardman.
Hey!
Yep, I had him in my top 5 because everything that Caleb had said, but just thinking 10 years with Mahomes, that is something, obviously something weird could happen, but in theory, if you look at it, he should be playing with Mahomes for 10 years. Sammy Watkins will be going here in a year. Tyreek Hill is not going to make it 10 years. Yeah, he'll take Watkins' role. Tyreek Hill's going to eventually, he'll fade and switch to Hardman being the number 1. Kelsey's not going to be that for 10 years either, so, or at least at the same level. Who knows how long he'll play, but yeah, I think having Mahomes is just a huge plus, and where they're both at, I think Hardman's going to just take off because of Mahomes. So, yeah, pretty simple there for my number 5. Randall?
Fair enough. I don't have Hardman on the list. I think I don't know. I'm a little scared that he might be one of those players that relies a little too much on his speed. But one thing's undeniable about him: Madden God. Am I right, Caleb? He is so good in Madden.
There's some players that are just amazing on
They're
Madden.
Like broken.
There's something with Madden in its system of like physicality rating. But yeah, if you get like Mecole Hardman, unstoppable. Also a fun fact: if anyone is out there doing a fantasy draft, get Sammy Watkins. You get him late, Man's unstoppable on Madden. Madden thinks that he's the best wide receiver in the league. I don't know why.
But as me and Caleb are both on the train, boycott Madden 21.
Wait,
Oh
what?
yeah, so
Dude,
we're
boycott.
boycotting Madden because I'm sick and tired of them just re-releasing the same game with updated rosters and worse music every time. I mean,
Well,
take us back to where you did off-season drills to like get one guy a little bit better. You can kind of emphasize. They've
You know
got
when
that
it changed,
nice-
Caleb?
When
I realized
08?
this the other day. Huh?
08?
No. I was going to say it changed when Madden Ultimate Team became
Oh, absolutely.
the pivotal point because all they care about is making
Just
their
making money.
microtransactions
Yeah.
off of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's happened. 2K is a little bit better about it because they have other aspects that they focus on, so it kind of evens itself out a little. I still think 2K doesn't help the franchise players enough, but Madden just really neglects the people who play franchise mode like you and me.
And that's the thing is I only play franchise mode.
Yeah, that's all I play.
Very upsetting.
It's the
I
only
haven't
thing.
got Madden since the one with Barry Sanders on the 25-year anniversary one. So
Oh, yeah.
Well, don't get 21 because there is a
Yeah.
big movement of franchise mode players to boycott the game this year. So hopefully they finally do some different stuff. But anyways, I will go on.
Stand
Sorry.
United.
Yeah, stand united. All right, so number 5. My number 5 is Jamar Chase. First one to talk about him on
I
the
do
list.
have him on my list.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I'm sure both of you do. He is 20, so he will be 30. He's one of those guys that is just he's always open.
Yeah.
And then when he's not always open, it's rare you see him lose a contested ball. He always wins them, it feels like. He's not necessarily the biggest wide receiver, 6'1", but he knows how to use his body and position in order to block out corners on pretty much everything. He's one of the best, if not the best, deep threat in the country, without necessarily being the fastest player in the country. He's fast. Don't get me wrong, he's fast. But I wouldn't necessarily you wouldn't say he's the fastest player in the country,
No.
would you?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yet he's definitely, to me, the best deep threat in the country. I do want to see how he does without Burrow, without Justin Jefferson, without Thad Moss. Good chunk of that incredible offensive line that gave those wide receivers time to get open and Joe to find them. I want to see how he does. Obviously, where he lands and what his quarterback situation is like plays a big part of it. But right now, I feel like 5 is fair in my mind just because of those things where I could easily, it would not surprise me one bit if we are saying he's the best wide receiver in 2030. But for now, I'll keep him at 5 just because of those unknowns.
Okay.
Oh, and then 9, number 4, I guess, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I struggled with this one because I don't know, man. I got Jerry Jeudy at number 4. He's 21 years old. He'll
I
be
have him at number
31.
4 as well. I'll
Ah,
just
there
say
you
that
go.
as well.
Well, I feel like you might be able to talk a little bit better about him than me. I have him here because we know his potential. We know he's really just a more complete receiver.
Yeah. I think the route running is what stood out. He's just got the most. I mean, he doesn't need it. That's not something he has to work on. He's already coming in with that. Honestly, I think he got the short end at Alabama because they knew he was so good. I think that's what made Ruggs and Smith look what's the other one? There was so many. There were so many guys there.
Henry Ruggs, Devontae
Waddle.
Smith, Waddle.
Yeah, I think all of those guys got a better boost because of how everyone knew that Jeudy was just that good. Just don't let him get. He's so good a route runner. He's going to get open because most of the corners in college weren't going to be able to handle him because they're not at the same level. They're not pro corners that can handle that. So I think so much attention got sent to Jeudy that's kind of what made him maybe not stand out as much this year.
Mm-hmm. And, I like that Jeudy potentially has his quarterback, for basically his entire time there in Drew Lock, potentially. Yeah. It's not complete. But, I I put him at 4 because of the potential and everyone knows it. But there's something about Jerry Jeudy that is, I have a bad feeling he's gonna not be anything. Like I don't know. I have a really bad feeling with him, and I hope I'm wrong because I like him. All the interviews I saw with him, he seemed like a really good guy. But I have a weird feeling that he's just never gonna be as good as he should be.
Okay.
But I
But
have
you
him
still
at
have
4.
him at number 4.
I do.
Hot take there, Red.
Well, yeah, I just have him at 4 because, like, you have to respect what he brings to the table and the potential out of it. I'm just afraid that he's not going to live up to that potential. But when we don't know dudes who are going to be under 30 necessarily, it's kind of hard for me to deny someone on the list and high up on the list when they have that type of potential. So, and the fact that he has Drew Lock and we know he's going to be there for a while helps a lot. So,
Well, I had said Jeudy as well, so we'll just move on to you here, Caleb, for your number 4.
All right, so this is somebody Red mentioned earlier. I've got him way higher on my list.
also Tom Brady.
Yeah,
Oh.
Tom Brady. I got DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
I think that DK, I mean, this dude, just look at him. He's a physical specimen. He's incredible. Yeah, he's probably not going to be nearly as fast, but I think he's going to improve his route running. He's going to be a big red zone threat for Russell Wilson, and also just playing with Russell Wilson for however many years past this point is going to help him out tremendously. So I think DK is an excellent potential of being number 4 in 10 years. I mean, he'll be 33. Last year as a rookie, I mean, he had 900 yards with 7 touchdowns, and he's really just only scratched the surface because a lot of people just see him as a straight line runner, deep threat kind of guy. He can be more than that, and he should be 10 years from now because he's going to have to adjust his game, and I think he's going to do that extremely well. So I have him at number 4. Number 3, I got Jamar Chase. I mean, the talent is just too good to pass up. So I got to leave Jamar Chase at number 3. Unbelievable year at LSU last year. 84 receptions, 1,780 receiving yards, 20 touchdowns. That's insane to me. I think, what did we look up before the show, Randall? Something about, like, you were looking into receiving touchdowns out of the NFL. And I know the NFL and the NCAA is not even, it's apples to oranges. But
Oh, you're killing me. I was going to make that point later, Caleb.
Yeah.
You're killing me right now.
Oh, well, you're making the point now, okay? So, yeah, the Kenny Golladay, I think, led with 10 touchdowns, or 11, I mean, and that was, like, the lowest in a while. I think Jamar Chase is going to be a guy that's just going to be making an impact almost every year for the next, like, 10 years when he gets into the NFL. I think he's just going to be an incredible talent. And he's only going to be 30 years old. Yeah. So, plenty left in the tank. I think I don't know. It's all going to depend on where you're going to fall and who's his quarterback, and that's pretty much the case with half the players on my list. But, well, too good of a talent.
Easy follow-up. I have Jamar Chase at number 3. One thing I do want to add, because I was trying to find this when Randall was bringing him up. So, once again, take one out of PFF. PFF College, I saw this. Highest graded receivers by slot, left, right, and they had tight end in here. At right, Jamar Chase ranked the highest. In the slot, Jamar Chase ranked the highest as well. Also interesting, at left receiver, George Pickens was their highest rated. So just going to throw it back to my number 7 there. But yeah, he took 2 spots on the highest graded receiving location from PFF College. So I thought that was very interesting.
Fair enough. So with my
number 3.
Okay. So my 3 is AJ Brown. 23, going to be 33. He was ridiculous this year for his rookie season. He's just always making huge plays that result in touchdowns, Yeah. So he led all rookies with 8 touchdowns, which this is okay. So this is the stat that Caleb was talking about. When I was doing research, Galladay led the league with 11 touchdowns, right?
Mhm.
I went all the way back to 1989 was when I stopped looking. Every year, the top receiver has had at least 12 touchdown catches or more until Galladay this year with 11 since 1989 or before that. I just thought it was really weird that in a time that supposedly we're supposed to be passing the most, that we have guys catching the least amount of touchdowns than they necessarily ever have. Now, I think that's a combination of there's so many good receivers, we've learned how to spread out the ball so much better, and maybe it's our corners have gotten better too. I don't know. But I just thought that was a really interesting stat when I was looking that up. But thought you might be interested in that, Dom, since Galladay's your guy.
He is
But-
my guy.
I thought about putting Galladay on my list too. I really thought about it.
I was
Just
close,
too old.
but I couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I just couldn't think. I couldn't do
Yeah.
it.
But anyways, A.J. Brown did not even rank in the top 60 in catches, but he had those 9 touchdowns, and he ranked top 25 in yards with 1,051 yards. So if that doesn't tell you how much that guy makes big plays, I don't know what will. When he's not even in the top 60 in catches and he's still dropping 1,000 yards as a rookie.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I think it rides a lot on who his quarterback is going forward,
And
just
that's
like all
kinda
these
why I had
guys.
him at 6. So
Yeah,
his
yeah, which
quarterback
is
was,
fair. Absolutely fair. But I just personally love A.J. Brown. He's the guy that I was telling you that I have been kind of perplexed this entire offseason on why people have him ranked so high in fantasy football.
Oh,
After who did you think I was
I
talking
thought
about?
I thought you were talking about Hardman.
Oh, okay. No.
Because Hardman, it just seemed like, oh yeah.
No, I get that because I'm Mahomes.
Yeah, okay.
Makes complete
That's why
sense.
I assumed. I was like, oh yeah, it's probably Hardman.
Yeah, no, AJ Brown. But after doing the deep dive into his stats and what he did last year, I get it. He is so good. He is so good. Not someone that I thought was going to be that good coming out of college at all. Same with Chris Godwin, by the way. I didn't say that earlier, but these two guys weren't on my radar coming out of college at all. I mean, I knew that they were good players, but I didn't think they were going to be good in the NFL, and was I wrong? So I really like A.J. Brown going forward. My number 2 is Juju Smith-Schuster. He is 23, going to be 33. Him being at number 2, obviously all rides on who the quarterback is after Ben. Obviously. But I'm going to be confident that they have the right person for the sake of this argument. And I think Juju, he's already proven that he has what it takes to make a huge impact in the NFL. The big question for me with him still is, can he be the number 1 guy? Because most of his success was when AB was on the other side. But, I'm still pretty confident that his down year was more because how much Big Ben was out and the quarterback situation there and just the kind of inconsistency. And it was just a weird season for the Steelers, really. So many things happened. You got the thing with the Browns and, Big Ben. And then I know that AB is not necessarily on the team, doesn't affect them, but they're still kind of, in on all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I think Juju Smith will get back to what he was. I think he'll prove that he can be the guy there, and I think he'll continue to progress. And I don't know, I really like him going forward. It's still weird to me too that he's been in the league for the amount of time he has, and he's only 23.
No,
But-
it's, and I might have missed this, but and I didn't even touch base on it. But even when AB was on the team, I mean, Juju got team MVP. I mean, that's just he can show that he can be dominant. So I don't disagree with him at number 2. I just had him at number 9 because there's no telling who's gonna be quarterback after Ben.
I do want to say though, he got team MVP, but that was the year that AB went off. AB just didn't get team MVP because he's an a-hole.
Well, yeah, he is, but that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my number 1 and 2 obviously are huge gambles. My number 2, I'm actually putting Justin Ross of Clemson.
Whoa.
I know
Yeah.
the injury is kind of was
He
concerning.
might not play again.
I'm
I
going to take the
considered having
risk.
him on my list.
I'm going to
Yeah,
just take the
really
chance
did.
that he does. And a year off, he's fine. I mean, he had freshman year 46 receptions for 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, and then last year 66 for 865 and 8. And that's Clemson blowing people out. He doesn't even play the whole time, but he's 6'4", 205. Like, if he hopefully does come back healthy, ready to go, hopefully just an off year, and then he just needs to get healthy for a year and he's back to normal. He was, I mean, as a true freshman, everyone knew he had NFL star potential. He was such a complete receiver, everything: route running, speed, body control, jump balls. I mean, if he can be healthy, I think, because he'll only be 30, 10 years, he'll be a dominant force.
Yeah, I agree. If health is not a factor,
that was a huge tough
if health
point.
is not a factor, then yeah, he's definitely going to be on this list for sure.
So, well, then you're 2-1.
So this is going to be somebody that Randall trashed earlier, but I don't care about Randall's trash because one man's trash is another man's treasure. So I got number
hate that
2,
you just said that.
Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Judge Jeudy laying down the law for the Broncos with Drew Lock for the next 10 years. He's going to be a threat. His route running is just incredible. He's a playmaker. He gets touchdowns, and he was playing with a very crowded receiving group at Alabama. And even as a sophomore, he was very productive. Had over 1,000 yards. I think he had 1,300 or so, but he had 14 touchdowns. And then even last year, 1,163 yards and 10 TDs. You're going to throw him into an offense with Courtland Sutton, and you're going to see results immediately. I would not be surprised if he is the best rookie wide receiver just because he's in a very good situation. But number 2 there for me. I think he's long-term going to be a dominant force. I'm not exactly sure how old he's going to be. I think he's going to be like 31 or 2 at that point. But yeah, there we go. And my number 1, CeeDee Lamb, Oklahoma, playing for the boys. I am not a Cowboys fan, so do not think that this is a homer pick or anything. I'm the opposite of that. But CeeDee Lamb is incredible. Dude makes freakish catches. He's excellent with the ball in his hands. Just complete wide receiver, in my opinion. And he's not a bad route runner. It just doesn't get talked about as much because Jerry Jeudy's just that much better at route running than he is, but that's not a knock on him by any means. CeeDee Lamb has been productive all 3 of his years for college football. Even as a freshman, 807 yards, 7 TDs. As a sophomore, 1,158 yards, 11 TDs. And as a junior, 1,327 yards with 14 TDs. Dude's incredible. He's going to be big time for the next 10 years, and I would be shocked if he's not the number 1 wide receiver in 10 years.
All right. Well, I'll continue with my number 1, and he was on both of your guys' list, and I had not mentioned him yet. And Randall, before I say this, I know you're going to twist my words, and for every show on, you're going to say I said something else, but I see potential shades of T.O. in DK Metcalf.
Hey, there you go.
Number 1.
No, I don't hate that.
Okay.
I don't hate that. I like that.
So I see shades of T.O., and that means I think that could blossom to a very long-term career. Obviously, yes, the speed isn't going to last for his whole career, but he's working with Russell Wilson right now, and he's going to be able to just improve all of his game for whoever the next quarterback is. And I don't know, I feel like the Seahawks are a team with Russell Wilson. Whoever is going to replace him, it's going to be an easy transition. I don't know why I feel more comfortable because of Russell Wilson, not necessarily Pete Carroll, nothing against him, but I think just for some reason Russell Wilson is going to make an easy transition to the next quarterback, and he's going to kind of learn how to use his size even more to just become that dominant receiver. So I've got DK Metcalf, number 1.
That's fair. No, I don't hate the T.O. comparison at all.
You hated
I
my
just think
shades
he'll-
of Tom Brady with Gardner Minshew.
Well,
That's
yeah.
yeah.
That's different.
Go. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
keep it going.
Yeah,
different
your
story.
number 1, or your thoughts on number 1. then.
Yeah, I'll try to go quickly here just so we can get to some Cam talk. But
And tweet of
I
the
got
week?
CeeDee Lamb as my number 1 as
Wow,
well.
okay.
He ends up going in a great place to start his career. Amari Cooper, Gallup, Zeke, good O-line, good quarterback. He can progress quickly there. I kind of hate saying how good he is because he was a Sooner and now he's a Cowboy, and I hate both of those teams with the burning passion of 1,000 suns. But he is really, really good. He's ridiculous, actually. When the ball is in his hand, he's going to make somebody miss pretty much every time he touches the ball. His speed, route running, his quickness, that make him a threat at every level. I can really see him being in the conversation for the best wide receiver in the NFL sooner than just 10 years, actually. He's the only one on the list that I could actually sit. It took me a long time to make this, but he was the only one that I could honestly sit there and think, yes, I feel like 100% if you told me that he's the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, I get it. I 100% get it. He is so good, and I hate that so much.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one who had him that high.
We're
I
both
thought you were
pandering for all the people that we know
Yeah.
follow each other for
And-
their votes.
Well, no, I'm not pandering. I just
Oh, I
think
am.
he's that good
I
of a
had-
player.
I don't
Yeah,
want to lose again.
I had him all over. It was just the speed, long-term speed, but I knew he was going to be a top 10. I had to
Yeah,
have him
I
on
don't
my
None of
list.
us had Michael Thomas, and that makes me sad.
Well, got a little over 3
I
minutes.
had Michael Thomas on my list, but then I started to think about it, and I'm like,
No.
30.
he's gonna be way too old at that point. So I
Cam
got
Tom.
to throw him out
Cam
there.
time, very quick,
Yeah,
because
Cam
I've got a
time.
really good tweet of the
Oh
week.
my god, I'm so pissed because Cam Newton's my favorite player, and now he's on the Patriots, my least favorite team. This is just turmoil for me as a Jets fan. My life just gets worse and worse as a Jets fan, and I hate it. I hate it. But good for you, Cam.
I'm going to repeat the same thing that I said, basically this entire offseason. It makes the most sense for him to go to the Patriots, but it's just so weird to see
Yeah.
with
It
him
is.
with Belichick. It makes the most sense, but it's weird to see.
It's a
I
win-win.
hope he gets comeback player of the year just because I'm a bigger fan of Cam. I don't know.
my
Just-
quick
I love you, Cam.
my quick thought is it's a win-win for both. He does good and then he gets another year or 2 with the Patriots, or for the Patriots, if he does good and leaves, then they're going to get a 3rd-round pick. And guess what? They just lost a 3rd-round pick for their whole Bengals videotaping stuff. So
Jeez.
anyway,
He's going to have a good fantasy year.
Yep.
Mhm.
Also, I think Mohamed Sanu will be a nice plus because I think they'll fit well together.
Good fantasy year for him. Terrible fantasy year for Sony Michel. Don't draft Sony Michel. He's their goal line back, but now Cam Newton's their goal line back.
All right, I got a really good one. It is a NFL owner
Jerry
tweeted
Jones.
this, and I feel I saw it and I had to pick it. It's very uncomfortable. Whatever. I know
no.
it's a sin, but I have a crush on Sarah Palin's feet.
An owner?
It's an owner.
Robert Kraft. It only makes sense. It only makes sense. It only makes sense.
Jim Irsay. It has to be. He's an
Oh,
alcoholic.
yeah.
Ding ding ding! Caleb
such an-
is the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an obvious.
I chose the joke with Kraft, though, and I think
Yeah.
it landed better.
So I saw that and yeah, Jim Irsay.
All right, I've got 2 victories there on that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So man, Caleb's just running away with tweet of the
And
week.
one of them was Jerry Judy.
You know what, Caleb? You just want the show.
No.
It's yours.
Okay.
Well, tune in.
We
next-
talk Caleb good.
We talk Caleb
talk-
good. We'll have another top 10 and 10. We'll release what our position in sport will be covering next, but stay tuned for next week and have a great rest of your Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday, my dude.